And Meiko, you know, not quite as much experience as Deft, but still a decent amount under his belt.
I'd say close enough to be considered a veteran, maybe not on the world stage to the same level, but being a part of EDG for this long means a big deal, and Meiko should be fine, Deft should be fine. I think all of EDG will be able to bounce back from what was a handed defeat reasonably well, and they shouldn't be affected at all.
Now looking at the bottom lane bans, Tahm Kench, I expected to be banned, I think almost, if you rate it as highly as Gate does. Now, Bard, another one of those picks. Give me, for both of you, both support players, do you enjoy, like, what do you think Bard brings to the table? Is this a ban-worthy champion?
I think Bard's like my most played in LCS, and really what it brings is like some unpredictability. You never really know when Bard can catch you, and you never really know in like team fights where he can land like a big stun. So just picking this champion, you pick it for its versatility and what that gives to your team.
Yeah, he has a lot of creativity. He can be very unique with the magical journey. There's a lot that a Bard provides that you don't often actually think about until he does it to you, including the ultimate turning you invincible into that stasis. So Bard, a valuable ban against somebody who is a Bard main.
I also think like one of the downfalls of picking this champion, even though it's banned this game, is that with that kind of strength, you have to just hit everything, and like if you miss a Q, you miss an all, you're gonna look terrible on the champion. So it's like, it's pretty risky to pick, and with things like Nami and Karma up, you're like more likely to pick one of those over Bard.
Do you think those are just easier to operate and execute? Do you think that's the benefit, or what other benefits does Karma bring over the Bard?
Yeah, the main thing is just stability. Like, you really can rely on Karma or Nami, give you the slow, give you the speed up, give you presence in the lane, but with Bard it's like a little unpredictable. At least for most, unless you've mastered the champion, it's hard to say like, oh, I'm gonna hit 100% of my ults, or I'm gonna hit all my stuns and carry the team fights. So I think with the ban that EDG put out, they're really confident like Albis playing Bard well. So he should at least take that as like a compliment, so to say.
Undefeated, I believe, on his Bard.
Truly a terrifying champion in the hands of Albis. Of course, playmaking supports on both sides, but good to see EDG proactively ban it away. As we've mentioned, as Spawn mentioned, these guys have a very close-knit relationship. They should know each other's picks in and out, but the two big surprises here are, of course, Pawn on the starting lineup, Chawy on the starting lineup of AHQ. That's the mystery, but still keeping our focus on the bottom lane. AHQ have locked in the Ashe here. Now, in previous patches, Ashe was an absolute monster in controlling the bottom side of the map, but we didn't expect her to be played quite as much after the nerfs. Can we talk a little bit about those nerfs and kind of how they affected her early laning phase?
For Ashe, she got a CD increase in her W in the early game. That just like, overall, it just means you get less Ws out for her S. That just lowers her power as a character in general in the early lane phase. So generally, when you picked her before, she seemed stronger in the laning phase just because you just spam W, and then they got too low. So I think she's still really playable. What really confuses me is AHQ picked Ashe so early in the rotation. There's really every AD up, so I think they should have, I mean, if it was me, I would have gone for like maybe an Elise here.
Could even have gone for like the Nami in that rotation instead, perhaps, knowing that it was into a Karma, but maybe that means that they have something different they wanted to play that wants to see more, like the whole bottom lane perhaps of EDG before they locked it in, do you think?
Well, with that in mind, then it would still make more sense to pick the support, because the support, like you said, if you pick something like a Nami, they went with the Soraka. So I guess that's what they were hoping to get. But also now thinking about it, they actually could have just picked Soraka in the second rotation, maybe change the ADC. This just says to me that they're pretty comfortable with Ashe as a champion on their roster, like in general. They really don't mind getting Ashe at any time in the draft. That's what it says to me.
And I want to hit on this really quickly before we get to the Soraka, because believe me, we are going to talk about the Soraka this game. But the Ashe, compared to the Jhin, we've seen Jhin's just getting dived repeatedly. Do you think Ashe is a little bit of a safer pick in that regard?
Not really, actually. I think Ashe is, like, you have to do more than just shoot out your arrow. You have to, like, get attacks off. Whereas Jhin, you just open with your W or your ult, and that's basically your contribution for most fights. So I actually think if I were picking, I would have picked Jhin instead of Ashe if I really had to pick an AD. So it's a little confusing. And also pairing with Soraka, it's also a little strange to me because I don't see too much, like, I don't see the over-glaring strength in this, like, pairing. So it's like their AHQ's pick man is a little confusing to me so far.
They're not picking for their lane, right? It's a Soraka who's not going to be able to contribute to a fight in a 2v2, and an Ashe that wants to hit the arrows to engage, but unless they're engaging for somebody, there's actually no point in them doing it in their 2v2 lanes, especially when you look at who they're against right now, which is a Lucian for Deft, which is already quite absurd, and Meiko playing a lane bully Nami. So it feels like it's a free lane for EDG, at least in my opinion, and that AHQ have drafted their bottom lane more for playing the team composition and playing the map.
I agree that AHQ is more team-based in their bot lane picks, but I don't think it's so much of like a free lane or anything. I think this bot duo might be a little more competitive than what we saw last game. At least their champion strengths, like Nami has heal, Lucian has like damage. I think they can match up with each other fairly well.
So now as we look as these compositions start to get rounded out here, the Zilean, the final pick, going to Chawy in the mid lane. First champion played on the big stage. Excited to see how he pilots it and how he handles it, getting that speed up for the Olaf. But I want to look on the jungler's influence on these 2v2s. Now Soraka, Ashe, pre-level 6. They don't seem like they're going to get a whole lot of attention from that Olaf. He doesn't really seem like he has any way into the lane. Is it a similar story for ClearLove on this Hecarim? We know he's kind of the more bot-focused jungler.
I think it's going to end up... Okay, if EDG can grind out an advantage by themselves in the 2v2, you're going to see ClearLove visit the bottom lane a lot.
Yeah.
If not, I think it's going to be a pretty stale, like... it should be a pretty stale early game.
Yeah, actually, I think I agree. Deft and Meiko might be able to forge themselves an advantage. They are lane bullies by nature, as well as picking champions that are going to complement that fact against the Ashe Soraka. There's a chance they make it work, but I'm just looking at AHQ's team composition, to be honest with you, and I feel dirty, like, just looking at it, because they're all trying to scale and get towards a mid-late game fight, and it's not going to be an easy thing to do, but thankfully for them, ClearLove is playing a farm jungle.
Yeah, does want to farm up, does want to scale up, but guys, there's a lot of questions to be asked here about this bottom lane matchup. Ashe, Soraka, paired up against the Lucian, Nami. You can ask all those questions over on Twitter with the hashtag AskTheCasters. We'll talk to you about it. We'll let you know how we feel. Once again, I'm not involved. These guys will let you know how they feel about that bot lane matchup overall. But it's interesting, especially to me, because Soraka, it felt like such a strong pick in North America, specifically in the hands of Adrian. I think we saw it pop up a lot more. EU, we saw Mithy pick it up a few times, but it wasn't a very popular pick. And I'm curious, why do you think it's rising in popularity here on the world stage? Or why is it being picked? I guess it's not rising in popularity.
It's surprising to me, actually, because I actually feel like something like a Nami has her strengths, like, I guess besides the ultimate, like they both have lane pressure and they both can do well in the lane phase. And also Soraka was recently nerfed with her healing. That's on this patch, right? 6.18. So yeah, it's very strange to see it picked actually, because other champions are just kind of better than her.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, interesting, they did hover over the Janna for a long time as well, so maybe not 100% certain on what they wanted here, but this is going to be a tough lineup to kill. You got the healing of Soraka, you've got the the Zilean revive as well. Interesting that both mid laners have kind of moved towards these more supportive picks as well.
Yeah, I will say though, for what it's worth, they early rotated the bottom lane of AHQ, not knowing whether the Karma was going to be flexed or not into the middle lane, so the last pick of Nami might have thrown a spanner into the works for AHQ.
Yeah, that's true. That's one of the strengths of picking Karma so early in the draft.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is a pretty common level 1 start. Oh, he killed the ward.
They got the ward down, so tell me what, as we see on throw down, Project Ashe coming in. Ooh, this is not good.
That's an early flash too.
Oh my god, Ignite goes down, on.
I
Ready
think
flash after
they
him.
might have
Let's
flash
try
speed.
to Come on.
No.
EDG.
It's pretty close. But yeah, fighting over that brush is important.
All right, I need the sweet breakdown on that BM right there. How disrespectful was that on a scale of 1 to 10?
He's just saying, you guys lost level 1. Here's my team icon. Check it out.
Yeah, level 1 GG, right?
Oh,
Speaking of.
Meiko is actually just dead here.
You know, we got an LPL team versus an LMS team, and this is going to be a bloodbath. Meiko now set to fall. I was going to talk about the...
Oh my god, he's alive, and there's a heal.
No.
Oh, wow.
You've got to be kidding me.
This is... All right.
I cannot believe he made it out of
All
it.
right, let's talk about bot lane now, because eventually they will enter the lane phase and stop trying to kill each other. Rusty, what's going on
For what
here?
it's worth, Meiko invading an Olaf is really risky, especially when the Olaf runs Ghost, because he can throw axes and chase you down. They always start with the axe. Very efficient when you pick it back up and it reduces the cooldown. So Meiko was being really ballsy, and the reason he was doing it is because AHQ lost the level 1. They had to go back to base, right? It's a bit of a chance to go in and say hello. Soraka didn't go back to base, however, and got a lot of health back from just hitting Q onto Meiko. And this is, I guess, something that has backfired and forced the summoner spell usage out of Deft and Meiko.
I think really what that was is just Meiko bit off more than he could shoot. There's no real like benefit in even invading the ult. Like you're not gonna just by yourself. You're not really gonna force the Olaf off the buff or anything like that.
Yeah.
He kind of just wanted to poke his head in because he felt comfortable with the level 1, as you said.
And confirming the blue start, I guess.
Yeah. At most he should have confirmed it, but he went a little too. He should be really careful about how he positions around Olaf. Like, good thing he dodged like a few axes, or else that would have turned out disastrous.
Yeah. We can see very limited options in terms of summoner spells on the bottom side of the map. EDG do get the level 2 first as well. So aside from the early invade, those early level 1s plays, let's talk about the effect now on the laning phase. How does this change the way things are being played as we see ClearLove welcoming Chawy back to the competitive stage with a nice first blood as he passes that one over there to Pond?
That's a little bit awkward. Hecarim not exactly known for his ability to gank, except for that first red buff opportunity. I liken him to a Mumu, to be honest with you. He gets red buff, can press Q once, gets one shot at it, and then he farms till level 6.
Oh,
He
yeah,
took it.
It's really good. He got a gank like that off. It's like you said. It's really like surprising he got a kill like that. But since he did, it's like such a big advantage to have. Now he can just farm up his golems before he goes home. And one thing I want to say, like from the level 1, we saw EDG win the level 1 on had to go home. Even though like all those shenanigans happened around their blue, EDG still maintained control of the bottom lane. They edged out a small advantage level 1. And they got just like they could hit the wave before the enemy AD could. Oh, one more gank. This guy has no flash. I think he
That's
should
a
be
very scary fake Amumu, Rusty.
It's really interesting to see how like professional players manipulate these waves, because we know for a fact that Ashe used her flash level 1.
Yeah.
So from this, they just made the lane neutral, and that's the easiest way to gank it. So they just got to kill basically by pushing in the wave one time and letting it reset.
Yeah, I agree actually. It was like the level 2, usually you see a bottom lane 2v2 either outright win at the level 2 or set themselves up to have a bounce at the level 3 point, which was really creative given that there was no flash. They decided to give ClearLove an opportunity to come in by having it reset. It was starting to push back towards EDG, so it was coinciding perfectly, not only for the gank to go off, but for the bottom lane of EDG to get a recall and come back and have the wave set up for them. So that was honestly best case scenario.
And I want to hop back down to bottom lane. We witnessed, Deft giving up a decent amount of CS there to let this wave push forward. You can see it in your picture-in-picture. Was this a planned setup to have this wave crash in? What is the wave manipulation going on here that EDG are looking for?
Well, Deft can, since the wave is frozen, Deft can farm this indefinitely as long as he manages the wave. It seems like AHQ, their plan, knowing this, is just to send their bot duo top. Right now is when the tower fortification drops. So it's actually, this is like basically a 2v1 from like, I don't know how many patches ago when I last played League of Legends. But yeah, it seems like this is just like the tempo push. It seems, so EDG seeing that, now they're just matching in the push. But this is actually kind of strange. Meiko's deciding to recall and trying to defend. But it's actually already too late because they already had 4 people here. They're bringing Chawy too. So they're at most going to end up trading tier 1s. And if something like catastrophic happens, they could take a tier 2 like AHQ could. But I think it's going to just be a tier 1 switch. This is a really smart move actually by AHQ, knowing like their bot lane like situation. Yeah,
definitely very clever. And I do agree with what Deft did. They did have a freeze available. AHQ's response was to not let that happen.
Oh, what a play.
And now, very clever stuff.
Actually, this Rumble could hold this wave indefinitely too because Meiko left the lane. This is actually, I haven't seen this kind of like holding and 2v1 style for like a patch or two. You know, like it hasn't been that long, but yeah, this is like
we don't normally see the swap to the top side. It was something we talked about, speculated a lot about because we saw it in NA and EU playoffs. But AHQ feel like one of the first teams to really bust it out and pull a good advantage out of that. Really, the difference between gold from those 2 kills now balanced out by the fact that AHQ were kind of one step ahead in terms of the lane swap.
Yeah, I think the last time we actually saw something similar, like CLG initially, when the lane swap like removal patch came in, they did something similar to this where where they pushed out the wave, they would just swap the top. So it's like a similar play, but they did it because EDG had the wave in a good position for them to farm.
Yeah, that was actually incredibly smart from AHQ. It does still mean that Deft, who instead of freezing the wave, could push it, so he gets himself a CS advantage for the 2v2. And if they come back to match this 2v2, which they are choosing for, there's an opportunity for EDG to have a recall advantage or a power advantage, honestly, from that recall, and it's reflective through the items that they have at the moment. So the 2v2 still looks really good for EDG against AHQ from levels and items.
And I want to take a look at that 2v2 really quick. We have a Twitter question coming in from @007. 007, he says, is it he or she? Sorry, I'm just going to keep assuming genders. Is there anything a Soraka can do to prevent a Nami and Lucian from bullying so much? What tools does Soraka really have?
I think currently Soraka, you just need to wait for a few levels, then you'll be fine. Generally with Soraka lanes, you kind of just want to like play as passive as you can until your healing gets to the point where it's more like damage than it can output. And at that point, like your ADC, you should tell your ADC to just trade recklessly, and you got his back. That's like the general Soraka strategy for laning.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of small things, perhaps like manipulating waves or finding control of the brush, depending on how EDG play it. But what a Soraka can do, the best case scenario, if you have to absolutely do something, is try and separate the focus of your opposition AD carry and support, so that you can hit Qs for health regeneration and you can heal your AD carry with them, so that they're not both damaging just them or both damaging just you. And that's really hard to do, but if you can do it right, it'll be a bit better.
It's hard for this game because all the level 1 stuff, but yeah, if the lanes played out normally, I think that's the best strategy to take too.
So in theory, there is some counterplay opportunities, but now we see Albis and On kind of moving up, roaming around, and we see a very large CS advantage, as well as the kill, going over to Deft. So I'm curious, what is the next step here for On and Albis? Do they just have to hide and kind of cower under their tower? Is Deft really just going to be able to continue to kind of push the advantage here?
Knowing EDG and how they play this lane, they're just going to try to... They know they can just fight them and kill them.
Yeah.
So basically, On and Albis, they're just trying to scrap for CS, take what you can get. Eventually, you'll get items, and the difference won't be so bad. Here, you see... okay, I think this wave should still push to AHQ, which is really good for them. If this wave ended up bouncing back, there's no safe way for AHQ to farm the wave without support from their jungler. So it's actually pretty lucky, I guess, for AHQ that now that On can just take all the CS for free.
And they do have Mountain nearby just in case EDG wanted to be a little bit cheesy and get aggressive on them. So bit of respite for Arn and Albis, but honestly, it was really well played from EDG to try and get all they could out of it. You can see the CS leads growing even further, and that's simply because Deft and Meiko were freezing the wave, letting it actually build up so that it was going to stack and then only last hitting. That's why you could randomly see Arn and Albis just walking around trying to maybe place wards and see if it worked out. But they finally got a wave as the turret did go.
I mean, at least they're trying to make something out of that. My usual proximity is to run forward and die or hide under the tower and do nothing. So clear difference there. But
you see now, both supports just hold hands with the jungler because this is basically the cookie cutter way of getting vision. You need someone with you.
Do you think that's better for EDG though, because the Nami has potential kill threat, whereas I wouldn't say a Soraka does?
Soraka is actually fairly useless in these situations. That's why I don't think she's so strong in the current
Exhibit A.
Yeah, basically Exhibit A. Yeah, I think also EDG has basically control of the bottom side because of their laning advantages. So just AHQ have the right idea, but they really can't do much. They have to just when they're holding hands and doing this, they're just to protect their own side of the jungle. They're not really looking to make any plays.
I guess one other cool thing as well is by keeping Albis away from a lane where he's going to be getting experience, he's not getting that level 6 point, where a Nami is definitely still useful pre-being that level 6 and affecting the map because you can work more effectively in the 2v2 with ClearLove, whereas between the Soraka and Mountain, as Gate has been saying, is not that great.
Yeah, the level 6, of course, the ability to influence the whole map, even if your lane is going poorly. Now you do see a bit of auction on the top side. ClearLove just continuing to put the pressure down.
That's a free kill.
Ashe Arrow as well, almost hitting.
Ashe Arrow gets sidestepped on the main screen, and now the siege is coming in from AHQ, so it looks like they're trying to get something back here. Pawn silent stuff, dive coming in. He's actually set to fall.
Oh, wow. Yeah, in this situation, Pawn should have been much more careful than what he was. It looks like they're going to just try to kill back.
Zilean ulti though.
This should just be an Olaf kill. I hope they don't miss this. Okay, good. Yeah, I think in that situation, Pawn just is up to too aggressive. His only job is just to clear as much of the wave as he can, and then wait for Deft to get there.
Yeah.
So knowing that, he should have been a little further back.
I agree. That was actually a really cool interaction though with Albis having the silence field placed down. There was no way to get out of it for Pawn, so it couldn't flash obviously when you're in the field.
Yeah. That's one of the strengths of Soraka actually. People don't notice the silence so much. They know her for healing. So that's like one of the aggressive parts of her kit.
Now that silence does seem pretty important moving forward, especially against Lucian, you know, relies on that mobility. But maybe not so much against the Hecarim, can just run through it as well. But we'll have to see how Albis is able to use that moving forward. Now the one thing I do want to look at, we talk about the bottom lane, that is going to be our focus, but we do need to look. Part of the reason why this game is so even, we do see a pretty decent CS lead for Rumble on the top side, and I'm wondering, what is the next step here for the bottom side of the map? Deft and Meiko, how do they continue to extend this advantage so they do not have to worry about Ziv in the top lane?
So they really need to, okay, basically they can't go mid because Zilean will clear waves, and that's just not an option. What they need to do is once ClearLove feels comfortable, or like once he's gotten enough items, he should be grouping with Meiko in the bottom side, and they should just get vision in their jungle so Deft can push up further than the river. And then after that, they can just move back and forth between mid and bot and test basically how many people there are at towers for defense. And then whenever they feel like they have an advantage like that, they should just press the go button and try for a play.
So process of elimination to me as a player would actually indicate that I go top lane. Do you think there's more value in going bottom or actually rotating towards the top side of the map?
The problem with going top is that the Rumble is the strongest member on their team. It's pretty hard to make a play on Rumble in general, I think, because he's just like, he's actually pretty like deceptively tanky, and he can output a lot of damage. He could turn a lot of like 2v1 plays around. So what I think is important is they have to recognize we have an advantage in our bot duo. We should be pushing that advantage through the bot lane where we're stronger, and how we do that is just by putting vision in their jungle and checking to see like where their jungler is, getting more information basically so they can make better ones.
Interestingly enough, while we expect EDG to pushing their advantage through the bottom side where they are stronger, AHQ is bringing their bottom lane to the mid. We're seeing these Ashe arrows hit pawn repeatedly. Now we've heard, you know, AHQ talk, or rather Clement did, Westor saying the way we're going to take them down is through Mouse on the top side of the map, but instead it seems like these Ashe arrows are hitting pawn over and over again. Is this a viable strategy for them to kind of get out of the deficit?
I think, of course, because this Ashe is just trying to scrap by, and this is her contribution to the team for now. It's nice that she's actually just hitting these too, because more often than not, when you throw those kind of arrows, they just whoosh by, and then you're just like, oh well, I'll try again next time.
We saw it a lot in like the Cloud9 games as an example when Sneaky was playing. If you throw an Ashe arrow sideways, it's less likely to connect, but it's also more unexpected if it does hit. So really good accuracy from Arn, I guess, so far. And the real problem to me is the bottom lane of AHQ, whilst they are hitting them, are still falling further behind because they are just picking up the scraps. Like right now, big CS difference, but it's also about to crash onto the turret, which is why I like that Mountain's here. But I don't think AHQ can do anything, and between Deft and Meiko, they should be able to hold this.
I think they have some knowledge of ClearLove that he is not here, because if I were AHQ, I would not be like too comfortable in taking a fight around this area based on like EDG strengths. So it's important for ClearLove actually not to show on the map right now, and then they should be able to like take pressure for the tower. But it would actually be a tragedy if
they can
AHQ,
dive there, right?
Yeah, AHQ, like it seems like they're gonna just get this tower for free because their jungler is a little, like he's on the wrong side basically. You see, EDG, they're not really scared of this too.
So Meiko can still ult. It'll clear a part of the minion wave, even though Deft doesn't have his available. I think a lot of pressure is there, and this is why Mouse shows up. Meiko and Deft aren't scared, even though the Hecarim revealed, because the Poppy didn't reveal.
Yeah, I think even though that's the case, to make a fight, I think you really need the Hecarim. So, I mean, I guess Mouse is not able to like farm too well top because the tower is down. So he had some free time to come to
Do you think they should have manned up AHQ and just went for the dive or something aggressive like that?
They could have, but they're missing some information for that. It's actually such a good play for them to like group up like this and just take the tower based on how big the wave was. For EDG, ClearLove, I think he should have been recognizing this. He should have known that this is like the only side that Mountain could be on, and he should be feeling like comfortable because he's like, he just finished his Trinity Force as well. He should be able to take a fight, and he should just be backing up his bottom lane there. But they gave up some damage on the tower and the dragon as well. So to me, that seems like a mistake. But now it looks like they're gonna try to trade top tower for it.
And as we see Meiko start up the Rift Trail here with the help of ClearLove, I want to ask you, is there anything different that EDG could have done there to stop that? Or because it seems to me that AHQ were just one step ahead.
Yeah, it's just like a lapse in judgment, really. I think ClearLove was just prioritizing the wrong things, actually. And at this point, you should, like as a jungler, you should be looking, like bouncing ideas off your support to do what to do next, and just take the game like one step at a time like that.
Yeah, good segue actually. Meiko, a big part of the shot calling and decision making of EDG, so I am surprised that ClearLove was on the opposite side of the map, and to me that actually speaks like it's a conscious decision that EDG were making, and that Deft or Meiko or even both of them said we can defend this turret 2v3 and ClearLove's free to move elsewhere on the map. That's what it feels like anyway, because I know that Meiko and ClearLove would be communicating these things together.
Well, I think it's true that at least they defended the tower, but really if ClearLove was on the opposite side, they could take fights and take Dragon and take the enemy jungle as well. So it's really like you have to think about what you'll get if you help this bot duo, who are like, if you look at Deft right now, he's almost at 2 core items, and compared to like an Ashe with Essence Weaver, he's just like a monster.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, too, as we start to push forward, the itemization is starting to come in, working towards the Black Cleaver in the hands of Deft. Next item for Ashe, I think we can assume, will be that attack speed item or potentially an Infinity Edge. What is the big break point here in this matchup? When is Ashe actually strong enough to fight the Lucian?
I mean, if you're saying in terms of just a 1v1 scenario, I doubt they'll get into many of those, but the Ashe really wants to get to at least 2 items before anything happens. 3 if they're really looking to team fight, because Ashe needs like all the crit items she can get. And then after that, she can just go to town on the enemy team. But what she really needs to watch out of this game is actually just the diving duo of like Pawn and like Pawn shielding ClearLove with like Mouse. Like she really just needs to watch her position, and then if she can just position well, she'll be able to do a lot of damage.
Of course, now I want to take a chance to get another Twitter question in. We have one viewer at RJ_M asks, how late in the game should supports keep a spot in their inventory for pink wards? This is the make or break point.
You have to have a pink. Like at all times. Like if you're thinking, okay, this is the last team fight of the game, I have 5,000 gold, I'm going to buy a Randuin's, sure, do that. But any other time in the game, it's so important. One of your only jobs as support, you have to make sure you have pinks and you're denying vision.
Yep.
So if you're thinking about like selling pinks to like, you know, buy like an amp tome, you know, just
don't do that. At least make what you're buying instead of the pink more efficient, right? Pink wards must have.
Some people even like, okay, I had a discussion earlier. Some people said like, what if my pink ward is in a really good position? Like I never want to move it ever. Well, I don't think that's ever the case. You should really, personally, if my pink ward is like at a good spot, I actually have 2 more in my inventory. Like I'm just gonna, like if I have 2 more, I don't even have to buy any more, right? So you have to be constantly moving up your vision, and you have to make sure your opponents are scared of like where they should be scared. You can't just say like, oh, I got some nice vision here and that's okay. Like that shouldn't be like the what you settle for as a support.
The pink ward could be in a good spot, but 5 minutes from now it won't be in such a good spot.
The relevancy of it matters a lot.
Now we are seeing both duos move back to the top side of the map. We'll keep our eyes on them for any potential dives or fight opportunities. But here's the follow-up for me. I play a lot of support as well. I think we're all united in the sport. At what point can we yell at our AD carries for not selling their Dorans for a pink ward? That's the question I really want to know the answer to.
I think ADs are pretty crunched for item space just in their builds. But generally, like if you just look at top tier like pro players, ADCs buy pinks, you know. They don't like say, nah, I'll buy a pink next game. They won't say that. So just like as a rule of thumb for ADC, if you think you haven't bought enough pink wards, just buy 1, and hopefully that's enough. Like like as a carry role, your role is not just all vision. So it's like you can be a little greedy when it comes to that, but definitely don't buy 0.
Nice dodge.
Nice sidestep coming in there from Meiko. The arrow's coming out from On. I think that's the first one to fail to connect.
The Moby's buff helped there.
My answer to you, Steve, about buying a pink ward on an AD carry is when it's slot efficient to sell your Dorans to actually get a pink ward instead. There's no purpose in having a full item build and having a Dorans in that full item build when it could be a pink ward.
Yeah. More often than not, at that time, all you're doing over there.
ClearLove had ulti as well. Like, they're going to go for Baron here. ClearLove had ulti and didn't use it, but he half-health Albis on the Soraka.
Yeah,
like, just charging him through exhaust.
Yeah.
Like, that was gross.
This should be a free... I think Rumble can maybe stop it. He looks like
ulti.
He has Equalizer. I think they either commit or turn right now.
Poppycopter.
Okay, they should go for the finish right now after that Poppy ult. They have the smite advantage. That's good. Now their job is to just get out of the pit.
Mouse may die, but he's looking to save his team by doing it, right?
Oh, he flashes out. Yep, good enough. So
perfect.
What a big advantage for EDG.
Maybe not
Chawy.
Nope.
He can't catch anyone. He only has 1 ball.
All right.
Well,
that was a sequence of events just because on mispositioned at one point. I think maybe we can get another look at the replay for that, because I was wondering why On was so, he took the full culling and had to flash out, use both summoners, and then like, it was just a terrible idea, I think.
Yeah, decision-making wise, it wasn't the best idea. It did force the Ashe to go back and also force the Soraka to go back as an end result of that, because they just collapsed. And you can see an entire Baron comes from that. It's how you make a mountain out of a molehill. A big capitalization on a small mistake, right?
And now since they have Baron, they're going to finally able, like I said, earlier they couldn't touch this mid tower because of Zilean, but with the Baron, it's easy pickings.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you get the Baron, you get the full almost 100-0 culling. We almost never see that, I think, in competitive play, but Deft clearly taking the positional advantage. But now we're going to see it twice.
Yeah, you see right here, just on, you should really just take the safe route. Just go right, catch the wave after. If they lose the tower, so what? It's just a tier 1
And
on
two
a side.
people did it as well, right?
Yeah.
Like Mountain decided that he was going to do what On did.
Yeah, this is like, I think it's just like, he really lost track of his character, and you know, like, when it comes to Worlds, like, you can't really be making those kind of mistakes because, you know, they just took that one kill, turned it into a huge lead with Baron. Now they're taking all of your towers. Yeah, it really has to watch out for the next fight.
Yeah, have to be careful. Deft's so strong. They sidestep the arrow. Mouse taking a little bit of damage here. Now I'm curious. I want to see how the siege is going to unfold, but can Deft really afford to approach the tower with the Baron creeps? Is he strong enough to do that, or does he kind of just have to back off and let it be a slower siege?
So correct me if I'm wrong here as well, okay, but what EDG will ideally be doing, because it's really hard to siege against an Ashe Zilean with wave clear, even though they have Baron and a Rumble who has the ultimate, they'll place Vision inside the jungle area near the blue buff, where they'll push the turret, and if AHQ defend it or expend too many resources, they'll push. But if they don't and still defend, they just go mid with a minion wave that's starting to
ideally
stack up.
that's actually how you'll play without Baron, but whenever you get the Baron buff, you can kind of brute force things a little bit. As anyone that's not the AD, you should be willing to expend cooldowns to get hits on the tower. So like right here, if I were EDG, ClearLove should be like just charging up his E. Maybe like someone can, see like Poppy L can go out and maybe they can get a few hits. Yeah, it's well played by.
Nice silence. Deft's in trouble though.
Deft's position is
all coming out.
I think he's gonna die this fight. See, okay. Albis Soraka actually carried the whole fight just by silencing Poppy, so definitely they should be a little careful even when they have Baron, but that's just a good play on Albis' part.
Excellent pressure. Rusty, you talked about the slow siege. They wanted to take some of those more aggressive risks.
Oh, he did. That's twice in 2 games, ClearLove.
I think, is he dead? Oh, nice dodge.
I mean,
He's got to dodge this one too.
Definitely League of Legends.
my
God, he's out. That's actually a heartbreaker. Like if he died to that.
I'd be tilted.
I was just going to say ClearLove is clearly playing a professional game of catch, but he figures out halfway through after the arrow collapses that this is not the game that he wants to play. And we'll look at this one more time, but boom, right off the bat, there's that silence you're talking
Excellent
about.
Rumble too. And it really, like, if you just look at how EDG's like team is positioned this whole fight, it's like everyone can just focus Deft because he's on the side.
Yeah.
They should just, this fight was over as soon as like the Rumble hit that many people.
I'm not sure if Deft had flash at the time as well, but he does still have it now, so he definitely could have lived.
Yeah.
Looks like he just wanted to do more than he should have.
I would say if you're EDG, maybe that, like I said, you should expend cooldowns to get the tower, but yeah, like I said, just Albis, silence the Poppy. Maybe they could have like used Hecarim multi to just like split up some people, just like maybe lose one, but overall I think AHQ just played that fight pretty well.
This is something we have praised them for, is their late game decision making in team fights, and admittedly Deft still has this massive lead overall, but On continuing to contribute to these fights, even if that arrow did not result in the death of ClearLove, but starting to get more items under his belt. How strong is Deft right now? We hear so much about the 2-item power spike of Black Cleaver, Youmuu's Ghostblade. Is he still just the duelist king on the map?
Yeah, really no one can contest him. Even like, to be honest, he can go to a solo lane and like kill someone probably. So
Yeah.
you just kind of like, right now he's like mid and clearing the waves, but as soon as he does that, he can move in with his support and try something. Oh, mouse. They have to, okay, when people
That was
are,
a lot though.
yeah, when people are missing from the map, as like someone like Mouse, you should just take care and like miss a few creeps, just like for, you know, like all you're missing is a few creeps, but you don't have to burn your flash, right? So you should really be careful when like the wave is pushed up and no one is showing.
Interestingly enough, the Rumble equalizer as well as the Ashe arrow being down gave EDG a chance mid. Of course, the chance can't be taken. There's no Baron buff, so the wave clear is missing. It means that they'll have to reset, but...
And the next goal for them is just to get the Baron. So in this case, since Mouse has teleport out, I would say he should go bottom and then let the whole team set around like topside jungle, and then he slowly can get pressure by himself in the bottom lane.
Interestingly enough, just looking back on that last fight, Rusty, you weren't sure if Deft got too greedy or if he just didn't have flash. Turns out he did not have flash available. It had just come off of cooldown as he went down, as he exited the fight. Unfortunately going to that quick grave there, but he has it for the next fight. And EDG still with a pretty decent gold advantage, but looking at the two compositions here, who really has the edge in the coming fights, or really what should these two teams be trying to do?
I actually really like AHQ's like last pick Zilean, because generally when you have this kind of team, like if ClearLove just hits on at the start of the fight with an E or just some burst, the fight's already over. But since you have Zilean, you're not really like afraid of that. So in the next team fights, it's important to just watch out about like how Chawy uses his Zilean ult and how like On survives. Because I think if On survives, like he's almost at the 3-item point, which means he can do a lot of damage in every team fight. If that's the case, then he can actually output more damage than Pawn, or not Pawn, Deft. So I think it's just very important how these next few fights are set up.
Yeah, I agree. He also went for the conscious decision of wanting an Essence Reaver in his Ashe build instead of going Infinity Edge with the Runarn's Hurricane early, so extra cooldown reduction means he wants to throw more arrows. It was Arn's decision that AHQ won a team fight around it as well.
Yeah.
And the cool thing that you mentioned about the Zilean is that it gives an opportunity for Ziv or Mountain to be really forward as well, and if they're the ones killing Deft, who's the big deal of EDG, like Meiko can't actually stop that. Because it's an Olaf with his ultimate, and Zilean can press his ultimate to ensure that he goes twice.
Yeah, in every fight where AHQ really has to go completely forward and like leave On to like catch up to them, I think EDG should have the upper hand. And with the Baron being up right now, it's important to like, right now I think the Dragon's coming up, but it's more important to fight for the Baron vision right now. As soon as like ClearLove is done with that side of the jungle, I think he should meet up with Meiko, and they should really like 3-man with Deft and take control like the top side Baron jungle.
It looks like they are starting to make moves on the top side. There is a little bit of vision down there, but right now it seems like the first priority is to push up that mid lane. ClearLove, interestingly enough, not on board with that plan. He is shadowing on the bottom side of the map. Do you think that they may just be looking to shut down the Rumble?
Yeah, this is like a cheese, because they really don't expect this. They really expect ClearLove to be on the other side of the map. And with this,
Well, now they're in trouble.
There's the turn. Luckily, the tower is low enough.
At least no one died from this, I think. It's like a nice try, because they really didn't know where Zilean was, so it was kind of risky to try that, but at the same time, no one died and they got the tower, and it looks like they're going to get the dragon too. So after this next reset, they can only really focus turn.
And this is because Albis and Ana are on the opposite side of the map. They don't even have an outer turret to take. It means that AHQ obviously were looking towards the Baron, and understandably so, given that we're quite far into this game and it's probably a better objective than an Ocean. So it was very surprising that ClearLove was down there.
If I'm AHQ right now, I should know that I'll be faster on the map than EDG. So if I should be looking to like make some Ashe arrow play right now as Meiko comes to like ward.
Yeah, they have 4 pinks too, so they're set up for it.
Right now they have the control and they should keep it for now. I think Meiko's going home just to recite his word. Maybe he didn't go home.
We got a lot of people backing here, and now AHQ seem to have control of the Baron pit. Do you think AHQ are a team that can force this Baron attempt, or do they just kind of have to wait for EDG to try to go for something too greedy?
If they catch someone out with the Ashe arrow, it's really easy to fight. But other than if they just go full 5v5 front to back, I think it's a little too hard for AHQ, because Deft is at the point where he can kill anyone.
I was going to ask you this as well, but it looks like Meiko's answered the question. In terms of itemization, usually I see like a Ruby Sightstone and not the build that Meiko's gone for. And I was going to ask, what about his item build would actually help against the team comp that AHQ has? And it looks like Mikhail's though, right?
Yeah, I think Mikhail's is like a necessity against Ashe in general. I've seen some supports just rush it first item, but it looks like he prioritizes the Locket Shield and the MR Aura over that. So it's important that he gets it as soon as possible now. It looks like Ziv might die here.
Oh, rinse and repeat here. Ziv set to fall. Oh, Meiko, though, going to go down.
Cool. That's an Ashe arrow, right? Yeah, that's an Ashe arrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, ClearLove's actually doing the unconventional thing, because there's very little reward to get out of killing Ziv, because it's not like they can go Baron if he kills Ziv, because they don't even have ClearLove on the right side. So this is just like a little strange of a play, because he keeps going for this. He really wants to kill Ziv. Maybe it's because he thinks Ziv will have like a really big team fight impact if they just go for the Baron. But at the same time, they should be comfortable like just, I don't know, I guess they're really afraid of the Ashe engage too. Like they don't really want to take complete control of the vision over there. Like they don't want to step into the enemy jungle, which is like, it's kind of strange because they should know they have like a decent lead, especially on AD carry. You see Deft has 310 CS already.
Now as we look at this replay, it seems like this combo is just nuts. You see the Soraka silence paired with the Ashe arrow.
Yep.
It feels like AHQ can just rinse and repeat that setup.
That was Meiko dying for Deft's sins, though.
You see Meiko kill this ward? That's a ward that killed him, and he knows that too. He's like, okay, how did they Ashe arrow me from the side there? There must have been a ward. So now I don't think it's going to happen again unless he just shoots like a lucky Ashe ult. But yeah, it's good for On that he was able to take advantage of that situation.
This is an interesting dynamic as well when you look at the wards that both teams have placed. EDGs are always going aggressively. They've got a lot of forward vision. They're at least getting neutral in the river. When you compare to what AHQ have gotten, they are saying, I don't want to die. Constantly just pinks defensive wards.
Yeah,
and it's really awkward because I don't see, and my concern with this, you can definitely disagree if you disagree, is, yeah, nice. Well
Good
done.
to know. Thank you for permission.
Yeah. Is that if they win a fight, it's going to be on their side of the map, so it's really hard to actually get something done.
Yeah, the most they could do, like the best case scenario is they kill 5 and they get Baron. So it's like they can't end the game or anything. But for example, if EDG kills 5 people near their inhibitor, that's game. So
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's actually kind of weird too because AHQ, like I said earlier, they had full like control of the Baron side. They just gave that up. They just like gave that up after they killed Meiko, which is really surprising. Like they really should they should protect their vision more because really it's like the vision's the most important thing to set up your abilities. I'm sure like if they had good vision, like Ziv wouldn't have to be like constantly afraid of ClearLove coming down there and just like trying to kill him. So I think for AHQ, they really should prioritizing pushing mid, so they know like a few champions aren't just hiding in the river, and then just going as a full team into the Baron side, and then just clearing every ward, and then getting ready to use the Ashe ult.
Now we are hitting a later point in the game. It's now 4 items for Deft. A lot more kind of bruiser items, though, I think we can say, whereas Ashe has this traditional late game carry crit build. Now, if they are not able to kill On in a fight, is On just going to take these fights over?
Yeah, he really should. I think all he needs now is just Last Whisper, like just a small one. It'd be nice if you could get like the lower Dominix, but I think right now if he just gets some armor pen, he actually should be able to take over team fights, which is like, it's pretty nice to see because if you think back to this game, it ended up like pretty, I don't want to say tragic, but definitely EDG had the upper hand in the 2v2.
Interesting enough, though, EDG now continuing to push in. I mean, Deft still terrifying as ever, looking to hit that flame horizon, but on the bottom side of the map, Forgiven was just short in the last game. His matchup versus Macau. Now we just keep talking about this Baron setup, and it feels like, honestly, it feels like if this game keeps stalling out, that AHQ have the edge. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, it seems like it so far because EDG are just struggling to take the next step in the game. Yep. They're really not getting the Baron. They're really not getting damage on the turrets. And then it's just going to come down to a team fight where AHQ has enough items to fight EDG. So I'm pretty sure AHQ should be happy of where they are, but the one thing they could do wrong is just to give up control of the Baron and let that slide for free.
Yeah, EDG are playing for the I just happened to find myself a Baron when you weren't ready kind of game at the moment.
Yep.
They're not going crazy, they're not invading and forcing AHQ to check, but they're also not baiting the Baron, it seems. They just wanted to try and catch them unaware.
Okay.
Ward goes down, vision secured, Baron not going to drop. EDG seemingly eager to pull the trigger here. Talk about the potential late game in favor of AHQ.
Also, something a lot of the supports are doing in this game, every single time we pan to Meiko, you hear him singing because he's going back to base. Yep. They are constantly placing vision. Nice timing. Constantly recalling because they're out of wards in their sight stones respectively. So this is a really big battle around vision, and it's taking an awful long time to get a result from it. But that's because they're so vigilant and constantly placing those wards down.
This is like the grind of playing the support role at this time. Basically, you want to put your vision down, as many wards as you could find in a good spot, go home, get 2 pinks, do it again. And then basically you do this until you get a good fight. And it's like pretty tedious, but this is like the best way to use your advantages because you basically have to like center all your moves around vision in competitive.
I mean, you place enough vision, ClearLove might get a flank on the Hecarim. Poppy might get a really good teleport ward as well. Like, there's values towards doing this, and that's why so many supports in competitive focus on having that vision there. They're also waiting for the Mikhail's Crucible on Meiko. I think that's when EDG will start to actually really go and turn up the tempo.
Yeah.
But until then, yeah.
Deft is super aggressive. Even though he saw the Ashe arrow miss, maybe some other CC could have hit him, like maybe a silence, and then that might have compromised his position. But he's really comfortable with his own
we
play.
talked about waiting for Mikhail's. Clearly, EDG have a different plan, and it looks like they've caught AHQ completely off guard. Hawkshot is going to connect in the end.
They're going to Baron.
Yeah, go to Baron right now is the best plan for AHQ, but I think EDG
they won't get it quick enough though, right? The Baron? Like the team composition, it'd be heavily reliant on Ashe doing something. So
yeah, and Ashe has no ulti, or actually it might be back up already because he has so much.
Coming
CDR.
up pretty quickly, just a few seconds away, but ClearLove.
It seems like they're comfortable taking this fight.
Oh no!
On had to flash early. Right now, EDG should win this team fight because On was in position to do damage. Now this is gonna go down. Yeah, this should be actually just a rollover, but Deft actually took a lot of AoE damage from
yeah,
Zilean.
Ziv's hard carrying this fight for AHQ.
Yeah, it's not all disaster, but it seems like now EDG should be able to at least pressure the Baron. I thought that maybe they would go home first, but it seems like they're just comfortable taking it at this HP.
Yeah, the thing is, if you go home, you give an opportunity for Mountain to go home as well, and perhaps cooldowns to reset, so they're pressuring sooner rather than later. I actually like this decision from EDG, and Deft definitely wants the Baron.
Oh, Baron is going to drop. Deft's going to get it. Now some trouble. I mean, they are going to get the reset on Mountain, but it seems like...
Oh, really nice. Looks like 2 kills for free.
Big plays.
Yeah. Now they should just... actually, maybe they could push because there's already 2 dead on HQ.
You'd expect them to go topside. Deft already pushing mid
Big
as well.
Already.
I mean, this is a
maybe they'll just go
huge
mid.
blowout.
I think they're going to go mid and then swing top after they get as much as they can mid.
Oh, they have a different plan.
That could be like game ending, honestly.
They have a plan to kill everyone.
Shit. I think that actually might be game because actually they're up in 30. This might be game because the respawn timers are too long.
We'll keep our eye on those timers, but I want to go back to how this happened. Is this just a single missed arrow that gave EDG this opportunity? How did they make this happen?
They felt comfortable with the missed arrow, but as soon as they got the Elder Drag, you just saw Meiko use Nami ult right away. It was like a pretty good Nami ult as well, and it looks like they're just going to end off that.
I mean, overall, fantastic closeout coming from EDG. It took forever, if we're honest. They took a long, took a long time to figure it out, but man, when they figured it out, they closed with confidence. One good team fight, as you mentioned, one good Nami wave to ensure that team fight as well. Now, despite that, AHQ fell so far behind in the early game, and we're still going blow for blow with EDG. I have to say, it's a pretty good showing, even for Chawy's first game back on the stage.
Yeah, it's nice to see AHQ, even though they had that early game deficit, they're actually able to do a lot of things on the map and really stall out the game. When it came down to it, I think EDG's team fighting was just a bit more crisp, and I think it was actually a pretty close game based on like the events that happened like level 1 and all those shenanigans.
Yeah, kind of crazy to think this all started with a bloody level 1, how much the early advantages built from the ClearLove ganks then transformed as AHQ were able to make it back with some macro plays. I'm sure EDG are happy to have the win now. What do you think was the most pivotal moment in that game? So frequently it's the level 1, but that didn't really feel like the case here.
I actually thought the most pivotal was when AHQ made that 2v1 swap. They actually got them a free tower, and then also Rumble was able to hold the bot wave. The game actually should have been over from like an earlier standpoint, but that actually saved the game for such a long time.
Yeah, I agree actually. The level 4, the gank from ClearLove as well, I thought it had set EDG up to just like snowball the entire thing out of control, but that one small movement from AHQ kind of caught them back up from a position they had no right being in. Really well done, honestly, from them, well executed, but not enough.
Yeah.
You can see our partners casting on the mainstream, not as focused on a single matchup as us. They missed out. It was a hype bot lane. It was interesting to see. Mostly it was the Deft show.
It was.
If we're honest. But On made a lot of plays in the mid lane to bring that back, and both supports seemed more than happy to kind of just follow those guys around and be the backup that they needed. Soraka, unfortunately, I feel like not the most hype playmaking support we could see.
Yeah, if you really had to think that game, like the best thing Soraka did that game was silence a Poppy ult, right? And I think you can pick other supports and get about the same result. Maybe like an Alistair. And I think just Soraka as a pick, it's kind of a little on the weak side because she doesn't have like overbearing lane strengths anymore.
You can see the weaknesses to the Soraka in
Yeah,
that game as an
exactly.
example, how quickly she died. But I mean, we highlighted it through the game. The one solace, I guess, of what the supports did was place all of that vision, a lot of focus and emphasis on getting the wards down in the right places. And because of that, the game was actually quite extended because they were both actually playing really well in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, do you feel like it is the vision that EDG were able to place, that Meiko and ClearLove were able to place together that really gave them the edge and the ability to take that Elder Dragon? Is the vision what made the difference in the end?
But I think that's just decisiveness. You notice like they pushed up the mid wave. They looked at the like timer probably. They're saying, let's just take the Elder Drag. They're not going to come. They took it right away and they went for the fight. So that's just like a good shot calling and then making fast decisions on the spot.
Yeah, good teams don't bait, I think, is the preface to it. And effectively, it was just really well done from EDG to just say go.
Exciting to see EDG now 1-1 overall as our AHQ. But that's going to do it for our specialized coverage here on the Player Experience stream. Tune in to Riot Games 2 tomorrow, where we'll bring you another 6 unique looks at the upcoming group stage games. You can take a look at the schedule. We've got Matt, Anori, and Froggen back. They're going to be breaking down the most compelling games of the day. You can see after Mulis the Crit, Peanut versus Trick, a Korean jungler duel. We'll focus on mid lane with Faker, and then Uzi and Mata. Ooh, got to be hyped for that one,
That's
facing down the Samsung bottom lane. And of course, we'd like to invite you to join us early tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific for Facebook Live, where Zilean, me, and Froggen will chat, share our thoughts about the tournament thus far, talk patch, and take your questions live. But of course, thank you so much for tuning in, joining us on Riot Games 2. Now for myself, the casters, and our special guests, Alex Each, and of course, Gate. Thanks for joining. We'll send you now back to the main stream to wrap up the day.
我们现在线上看到的